All right, welcome to the Hobby Hangout. It is Sunday night, April 27th. It is 9:30 p.m. and I am here with Ryan McCormick, the show promoter of the Mid-Atlantic Card Show. My name is Denny Cards. I'm your host for this YouTube Live. Hopefully, this will be able to make its way out to the podcast world as well. Ryan, I didn't mention this to you before we started the live, but the Hobby Hangout as a podcast has not been doing too well from the YouTube streams. We definitely have live viewers. And for those of you who are joining live, thank you. I did not do a big lead up to this one, kind of like I did with the taxes and the other times I've had you on. But I think I'm going to have to tweak it. I'm going to have to figure out what to do with the Hobby Hangout as a separate podcast, like RSS feed. So, I am going a little behind the scenes or behind baseball here. But this could just kind of be woven into like the Card Diary by Hobby S. Thompson. Although I am like, it's just such a mouthful. Every time I say it, I'm just like, I like slur it. I go quick. It's just, it is a mouthful. But this is your third time on the Hobby Hangout, and hopefully the Snickerdoodle the camp is watching. Shout out to them. I did want to say, and I might have to say this later on if they don't hear this right now, but you're welcome to view. You're welcome to be in the chat and watch and enjoy. But as for coming on live, I don't think I'm gonna have I don't think that. How do I say this? We're going to be talking about some topics today that are not very kid friendly. The hobby is a wonderful place. I love the hobby. Ryan and I both have a strong passion for it. And there is this very happy part of the hobby. And then there's this not so happy, the not so kid friendly part of the hobby. So I don't want to bring on kids on during this talk, although I can't force them to turn this off. I mean, I'm not their parents, but so that's my intro for this. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for Goats and glad to being in the chat. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Denny. It's been a nice weekend. Great weather out there. Excited to have the card show coming up at the end of this coming week. And I hear what you're saying about Hobby Hangout. I'm curious what's going on with Hobby S. Thompson. Is that still that's still something you do separately from Hobby Hangout, or is
So, oh my goodness.
Card Diary?
Yeah, so the Card Diary by Hobby S. Thompson was the initial. It was supposed to be a limited edition podcast, where a limited series where basically I kind of explored different areas, different aspects of the hobby, and just kind of like how you can try it. You can do different things. Why not? It started off just talking about being a seller, right? Being a vendor. Again, like you have Card Show vendor, whatnot seller, eBay seller. Then I talked about, it's just some of the more, I guess, like creative sides of the hobby, content creation, TikTokers, and then, card artists and things like that. And then I thought the theme or the structure was so kind of constrained, and I also didn't think it lent itself to like a live format. So what I loved about that type of podcast was it really was a deep dive into it was like a one-on-one, very kind of like one of the best compliments I got from someone was saying how it was kind of like the Hot Ones where they eat the wings and they just talk about their life story and they just kind of get real, right? They get really real, and I really appreciated that type of compliment. And I thought, Hobby Hangout would be more casual, be live, there'd be a chat, people could jump in if they wanted to. And so kind of like just different formats. But, I think there's a little bit of Hobby S. Thompson in all of us that, whoever wants to try different things in the hobby. And then Hobby Hangout was supposed to be just more casual.
Got it. Yeah, so Hobby S. Thompson is retired for the time being, focusing on Hobby Hangout and the Instagram and other social media stuff, and in your card show vlogs. Is that right?
Retire. Yeah, that's an interesting word, retired. Hobby S. Thompson's always going to be in the back of my mind, and it's like it is almost like an alter ego. It's like my podcast. It's like a more austere, more serious. And again, I was trying to get away from that, and I wanted Hobby Hangout to be more light, again, just more fun, more topical. Because what I realized with the Card Diary podcast was I was just so set on my rigid structure, and I had to talk about this one topic that we didn't really talk about the happenings in the hobby and just kind of like more recent news stuff. So I'm still playing around with the idea. It is kind of hard when I think it's just so hard in 2025 to start up a new podcast. I think that especially in the hobby, that's a small niche. It is really hard to get. I guess not the eyeballs, but the ears, the listening ears, the downloads, the listens. Hobby Hangout it's just really hard. It also requires more consistency. Apologies to the people who are in the chat. There's 6 people here live right now. Orange Slices. Hello, thank you. But I missed last week. It was Easter, right? And then the week before that, I was at the North Carolina, the Wilmington card show. So it was just hard for me to come live on Sunday nights. And so I think the last time we did one was you talking about taxes, because that was right before the tax deadline. And so I think that this podcast does deserve a more available host, someone who is just willing to devote, really dedicate to that, any particular time frame. It's my schedule and my life are just so sometimes can be unpredictable or sporadic that I might not be able to do this as often as I want to for it to be successful. So
Got it.
Yeah. But next week, Saturday, again, this is a sponsored episode. I do have a ticker or a banner on the bottom talking about how you, as a show promoter, have a show happening. So we're going to talk about shows a little bit before we talk about other topics. But you have a show coming in May 3rd. So it's going to be 6 days from today, April 27th. So May 3rd, Saturday at the Silver Spring Civic Center. What can we expect at that show?
Yeah, so it's going to be, we're doing four shows a year now, and they're at the downtown Silver Spring, which is inside the Washington, D.C. Beltway, very close to the Metro, Silver Spring Metro. And this is, I've lost count. This is like the 11th or 12th show. And we're going to have about 100 tables, and we're going to have an autographed guest, NBA Hall of Famer Adrian Dantley, who happens to be local. He actually lives in Silver Spring. He's a crossing guard for school in Silver Spring, but he has an incredible background, having been a 6-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ, NBA Rookie of the Year, NBA Comeback Player of the Year, College Player of the Year, MVP of Team USA in the Olympics in 1976. Everyone talks about the dream team, but the 1976 US team won the Olympic gold, and he was the MVP for that team. And he was most people I think know and remember him for being one of the Detroit Pistons in the mid 1980s with the Bad Boys, and he was actually traded off that team for Mark Aguirre with the Dallas Mavericks, but not before he played several seasons and was a top scorer for the Pistons. So he retired in the top 10 in scoring in the NBA. He still has his career scoring average, 24.1 points a game, is still like in the top 25 in the NBA. And he was a small forward and just a very prolific scorer, very very high field goal percentage player. So I remember him very well because the 80s was kind of a highlight for me, that period with Showtime and the Celtics, then going into Detroit, then going into Chicago, the Chicago Bulls and Jordan era. To me, that was the best period ever for the NBA. And I think most people that were kind of watching it at that time kind of feel that way as well. Not that the NBA is not great now today. It's just a very different game.
Well, really, I mean, yeah. you have to like 3-pointers to like today's game, I think. Yeah. No, I'm in my early 40s. You're a little bit older than I. I do not have any memories, fond or bad, of the mid 80s and the Bad Boy Pistons. I mean, I would have been at at oldest maybe like 6 or 7 years old at that time. So my first childhood memories of sports really was basketball and Michael Jordan and his ascent, where he, I guess, vanquished the Bad Boy Pistons, took the
Mhm.
lumps, took the hard hits, took the clotheslines to the chest or face area as he was slashing to the basket. So I'm excited to talk to Adrian Dantley. It's going to be my first basketball player with the Mid Atlantic. I got the pleasure of talking with Danny Green in the past, and there are some other future, I think, NBA retired players I might be talking to in the future. I don't know exactly, but I think in general, I don't know if it's an availability thing, but I have, in the past, the guests that I've talked to through you have been Gary Clark and Santana Moss. Got the opportunity to talk to Vince Young, and I cherish those moments because every single one of those folks that I just mentioned, they never brushed me off, and it wasn't like an afterthought, like, oh, I want to be done with this interview. He said it was 5 minutes, and now it's 6 minutes. They gave me the time of day. They were very nice and cordial, and I expect no less from a DeMatha High School graduate, Adrian Dantley. For those in the chat who are from the DMV, know that DeMatha is a perennial powerhouse in basketball, right? Right, Ryan?
Absolutely, yeah. It's got a long history, great coaches, and has brought in some of the best players and sent off some of the best players. So, yeah, he's Adrian Dantley is a hometown hero. He's from Washington D.C. and, as you said, went to DeMatha High School in Maryland. So that's great. Danny, I'll just circle back on the 80s and the
Yeah.
basketball that period. I just recommend to everyone, that didn't see that stuff when it happened. You got to go watch the ESPN 30 for 30 documentaries about that period. Detroit, Boston, LA, and Chicago, all those are just, they capture it all really well. So it's a good way to get to know some of those players.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's so much good content out there that I would love to watch more of for sure. Um, Speaking of content that's have you heard of this Netflix show called Running Point? It's a fictionalized Los Angeles Lakers with Jeannie Buss being the, kind of like the one who is now like pulling the strings type of. It's I think it's Kate Hudson is the so it's fictional. It's based on a true story type of thing. It really is loosely based on Jeannie Buss and her brothers, and with Dr. Jerry Buss like passing away and all that. Spoiler alert for those who didn't know. But so you are not familiar with that show?
No, I haven't seen it. Sounds interesting though.
I mean, just women
You got a
in.
comment you have a comment that it
I
started the series last night. So, from
Oh,
Brian. Yeah.
Brian. Yeah,
Yeah.
Brian says we started the series last night. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that. He says yes, it's awesome. It is not kid friendly. So for the kids who are currently in the chat, talk to your parents. I will not tell you that you cannot watch it, but talk to your parents. But Ryan is definitely of the age where he can watch shows like that. So Sneaky Squids, thank you, love you too. Goats. Here we go with the snickerdoodles. I looked it up, Ryan. Since the last time
Yeah.
this happened, I don't think there's any code for anything bad, although I could be, not looking up the right things on the internet. I don't know, but maybe. Oh, you know what I didn't do is I didn't ask chat AI. I didn't ask chat GPT. So maybe I'll have to do that after the show.
So
But
they're loyal though, Denny. They're very loyal followers of yours. I mean, you didn't even advertise this show, I don't
No,
think.
I think
Down?
I
So,
really think it's Connor. Thank you, Connor, for doing that. But the hobby's not kid friendly all the time, and I don't know if that's a good segue to talk about the first thing I wanted to maybe mention. But it's great. I got to meet these. I don't know if it's every single one of them, but like it was a complete random encounter at the GameStop in Tyson's Corner Mall, where I was submitting car. I was kind of ripped to grade, and they were there grading for the very first time with PSA. They had like one or two cards each, and they were like, I was kind of like talking to them, chit chatting about, some of them did only Pokemon, some of them did only sports, and just talking about just Rocket League and life and all this stuff. And they were very pleasant to talk with. I mean, there's some teens who are very like, I don't know, like, you have kid, like, I'm not saying your kids would do this, but they're like brooding, or they're just yes, no, or they're not very you know, uh, effervescent. They're just like, oh, whatever. But this group of kids, they're really kind. They're really nice kids. So now they're talking about what their favorite numbers are. And, hey, oh, he's talking about PSA nines, all PSA nines and lower. Yes, orange slices. So, I mean,
Hey, I can agree with them on that one. I don't go for PSA 10s on hardly anything. So I'll take a 9 any day.
with the fact that, I mean, really, like, the sad market fact that PSA nines are going for less than raw cards is something that I've been talking to with a lot of people in shows. And I might even do like a running kind of question series with people. I'm getting better as a content creator, Ryan. So I think I can do more interviews at your show. But basically, I want to ask people, like, what are their thoughts? Of course, everyone's not going to be happy about it, but like, I don't know how we got to this point as a hobby. I feel like it's the hope that a card is going to get a Gem 10 that gives people more. It's almost like it's a gamble. Like, people just want to hope that their card's going to get a 10, so they would rather buy it raw than have an actualized PSA 9, right?
I feel like with a 10, you're already looking at your exit. I'm looking at the resale, either short term or even long term. Whereas to me, I mean, the lower grade PS9, which looks usually just as good as the PSA 10, is something for the collection and something I'm going to hold on to. So I don't care what the number on the flip says. Like, the eye appeal is all still there with a 9, and I'm not trying to resell it or flip it. So I'd much rather get the savings and then use those savings to buy another card than pay up for the 10. But that's just me. I don't have any problem with people that want the 10s. I just think it's more often than not, it's a financial consideration on their exit from the card rather than just hanging on to it. Nobody cares. Nobody looks at the 10 and says, God, I love looking at it, those two numbers more than a
Right.
9. It's just about the resale.
I think, yeah, the resale is the real reason why PSA has such a stranglehold on grading. Connor had two Patrick Mahomes rookie cards. One was a Donruss rated rookie. The other one, I think, was like Panini Crusades, something like that. Beautiful. They were not numbered. They were not, I think, parallel. Maybe they were. I think maybe the Crusades was like red and gold. But I remember talking to him, and I wished him luck. And he said he just found them in one of his bedroom drawers. Just kind of like on the bottom of the jar. So, if it's in the bottom of the drawer, doesn't have a penny sleeve and a top loader. I feel so bad for modern cards where it's like every single card is immediately encased in plastic, and it'll never see the light of day. Not that these cards are like Toy Story toys, but it's kind of sad that, I mean, the reason why Pokemon cards in the 90s, in 1999 or early 2000s, are so coveted in like these gem mint conditions is, from my understanding, is because I didn't play Pokemon when I was a kid, is that people actually played with the cards, and that's why they were just not in great condition. So it's that whole like 40-year-old version, scene, right? He has all the toys and they're all wrapped up, and he's like, you can't touch them, don't play with them, and it's like we're all of a sudden we're like told, don't play with your cards, don't touch your cards, immediately put them in a penny sleeve and a top loader or like card saver and send it out for grading.
I think there's still a lot of playing of Pokemon. I mean, at the shows, I guess you've got people that are looking to hold those cards and more as a collectible. But I think globally, I think there's a huge amount of people that are just into Pokemon, actual in the game itself.
Yeah, no, I would love to. I mean, gosh, I don't know. That I feel like with the sports card side of the hobby, I'm so already, filled to the brim with just ideas and time spent. But you know, just learning how to play a game, like a trading card game, and like, bonding with my kids and playing it with them and learning and maybe going to tournaments together and just figuring out that whole scene is intriguing. But I also know that it's not up my wheelhouse right now, and the learning curve might be steep. It might be not too steep, but I don't see myself doing it anytime soon, but I am starting to get the allure of Pokemon. I really do like some of the artwork. It really is beautiful. And I can talk about what happened this past weekend when I went to a card show that was surprising to me. I feel like Pokemon collectors and the Pokemon TCG fan base, or the even the flippers and the dealers, other than the ones who are fighting each other in Costco and like pushing each other aside for the vending machines, I feel like they're like happier than sports card collectors. What do you think? And what does the chat think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, Denny, I manage a Facebook group. It's called uh, DC, Maryland, Virginia sports card shows, signings, and events. And there's some chats that have spun off of the Facebook group, and some of them are Pokemon kind of specific. And I follow the chat a little bit. I never contribute to it, but I just watch kind of some of the back and forth. It's so friendly. They're so kind. They're so nice to each other. I never see any like negative like comments or negativity at all. And I agree. I just think that you see that too, just in the at the shows and in the whole community. That I don't know why that is, but I guess. Well, I think Pokemon itself is a very kind of happy, somewhat innocent, somewhat positive, game and whole world. So, I think it makes sense that it probably attracts that community, is a kind of positive community as well.
Orange has a great question here. He, or I think it's a he, but here she says, "What are the hit rates in sports cards?" I mean, Ryan, please feel free to chime in after I say this. It's I don't even like the phrase ROI. There is no return on investment in sports cards opening up wax, because unless you're actually keeping the boxes or the cases sealed, it's not an investment. You're just ripping it open. I think the better term is expected value. So I think the EV, the expected value in opening up modern, ultra modern wax, is like, people say you're lucky to get half your money back. The expected values expect 10% of your money back. So on a $300 box, expect a $30 return. On the other hand, you have Pokemon where you're spending, I know with the current market and the scalpers and the market MSRP, being at the 200, 250 range, it is higher than what they're used to. But prior to the bubble, which has been now currently, which has been occurring, they're selling these boxes anywhere between $60 to $100. And if you got $20 back, I mean, that is better than a 10% expected value. So, and then if you grade it, everyone tries to grade out of their misses on wax. But if you're guaranteed an alt rare, an art, and alt art, or I know you're not guaranteed a special illustration rare, but if you're guaranteed to get at least one art rare and you can grade it, you could maybe even even out almost every box. I don't know, but Pokemon folks, tell me please in the chat. But Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they they actually used to put the odds. I don't know if they still do this or not, but they put the odds for cards on the card boxes and card and wrappers.
Topps
You can,
does, Fanatics, Panini does not.
yeah. I mean, I don't open I open very little. I'll open an occasional blaster box or something, but very little. So I'm just basing on what I understand from others, and that's that that Panini, Prism, Optic, Donruss are, particularly Prism, is a very low value that you're going to get out of a box, and it's higher, but still not great with Topps and baseball and Fanatics. But look, that's what drives the repack, because they can actually deliver better return by taking the cards, right, finding and buying them on the secondary market, putting them in packs, and they can still make a profit and give you a better value with the repacks if you have a trusted, if you trust who you're purchasing from and they're acting with integrity, they can both make a profit and give you better value than you're going to get buying it directly new through Fanatics or Panini. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And I don't know if this is what Orange Slices meant by the question, but is it possible that Pokemon card collectors are happier than sports card collectors because they just don't get crushed as bad? Because that maybe the print line. My understanding of Pokemon is, they can do reprints, but once they're done printing, they're done. And so once they're done printing, they just ship it all out. And if there is more demand, then they do another, second or third print run, and that can dilute, the market or the value. I mean, it's crazy to say, but like this one particular Moonbryon, it's like a $3,200 PSA 10 card in a PSA 10 holder, and yet the pop count on it, because it's not serial numbered. I mean, no Pokemon cards to this point are serial numbered. When it comes to, I think, Magic the Gathering, I think they started to do it, especially like that trace for the One Ring, right? It was a 1 of 1. Um, but that Moonbryon is like pop as a PSA 10, not total population. As a PSA 10 is like pop 10,000. It's in the 10,000s, which is like what a Wemby Silver would be at. So I think it's absolutely astounding that you have a card that's $3,200 and yet it's like pop 10,000, right? And so, but I do think that maybe, again, whether or not Orange Slices meant this or not, I think maybe Pokemon card collectors are happier because they can afford the product and they don't get crushed on it if they just open up the sealed wax.
Yeah. Well, one thing to keep in mind with population counts is that's your supply, but equally important is your demand. And the demand keeps growing. So you can have high population counts and maintain values if people keep pouring into the hobby, which seems to be the case right now. So kind of going back to shows are really well attended right now and everywhere. And you're going into the stores, what's the GameStop and otherwise, you're seeing how much energy and stuff there is around cards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have to make enough to satiate the demand.
Yes.
I mean, I was a collector during the junk wax era, so these numbers are small compared to those. I mean, we got up to like a million copies of the 1989 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. card.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's
so
true.
I mean, I don't think the ultra modern stuff long term is really sustainable very much. But at the same time, like I think that the demand side is clearly continuing to grow, and that's why they have to either increase the population or drive up the cost, and neither one of those is great, but it's kind of what you have to do. So
that's true. Absolutely. So before I get to asking you about what the split is going to be for your show, I wanted to tell you a little about the show that I went to this past week. But before I do that, I wanted to kind of address the chat a little bit. Goat says some of the outfits people wear are awesome, kind of like NASCAR people watching. It really, Pokemon people are just more, I think, creative and imaginative and more willing to, for sports, you either put on a T-shirt or a jersey, right? But it's funny how like some of the sports people make fun of Pokemon people, like, oh, look at these, people who look stupid, and there you are wearing the jersey of some athlete who doesn't know you even exist, So you got that. Orange Slices asks, should I invest in anime trading cards? And Sneaky Squid says, me when no anime, cry emoji. So I think that I am, to this point, Orange Slices, I've not gotten in trouble with anyone for other reasons, sure, for sharing my opinion. God forbid you do that. But I have never given any investment advice. I've never told people how to spend their money or what they should spend money on. I've never poo-pooed people for spending money on even unlicensed or whatever they want to do. I have my opinions on all of it. I don't know even much about anime trading cards. The only ones I can think of is probably One Piece, and I've opened up wax on that, and I've graded some of it. I do think in general that especially the ones that are produced overseas, just with the rounded corners and just the backs being all the same, I think the print quality is just so much better than sports cards. But having said that, I would never give investment advice, or I don't want to say never, but I'm just not at the point to answer that. So, if you want to, Orange Slices, please go ahead and do so. Ryan, what do you think about that question?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not certainly wouldn't give investment advice, but I think what you said makes a lot of sense. I mean, to me, you have to think about the intellectual property and what intellectual. If you're investing, then you think what intellectual property is going to still be here 5, 10, 15 years down the road. And to me, I don't know as much about the trading card games and Pokemon, et cetera. Obviously, a lot of that's really been very strong and durable and has lasted a long time. But I like Star Wars, I like Disney, I like Marvel. And I think that those companies are just going to continue to pour money into those franchises and build those movies. And they're just going to continue to just be hugely, a huge intellectual value in the intellectual property of Marvel and Star Wars. And that's going to preserve interest in the cards that are being made today, the cards that were made 20 years ago, and cards made in the future. So I try to think about it in terms of, what are people going to still know about, think about, and what's going to be desirable down
Yeah.
the road.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. I like that, Ryan. So I want to kind of do a slight pivot into last weekend. Not a sponsor, not certainly. I don't know the show promoter as well as I know you, but there's a show promoter. His name is Michael Christopher. He's actually quite controversial in this area. I'm not going to say whether he's good or bad. I will just say that he's well known in this area, in the DMV, the DC metropolitan, DC, Maryland, Virginia area, and he puts on a lot of shows in our area, as south as North Carolina, or like Virginia, Southern Virginia area, where it's called Tidewater and collectibles and all that. So I'm not trying to give him a free to talk too much about him, but he had a first time ever show in a Courtyard Marriott in Gaithersburg past Saturday, the Saturday before Easter, and I ended up attending that just on a whim. I just had some time, and usually I don't show up to shows completely unannounced, but I didn't tell anyone I was going. I make content. I actually almost thought about not making any content and just enjoying it, but I sometimes I can't just help it because I just want to show people, kind of what shows look like. So I just kind of I only briefly talked to the promoter at the end, but I was really surprised. I don't know exactly how many tables. Let's say there were, 60 or 70 tables. There were literally only 3 to 4 tables doing sports cards. The rest was all Pokemon and TCG. And I was surprised because their special guest for autographs from the 11 to 1 period, I don't remember the person's name, was a retired football player, NFL player. And it was billed as I don't know if it was billed as a 50-50 sports cards in Pokemon, but it was definitely billed as a sports card and Pokemon show. And I know from speaking with the vendor, or I won't say exactly which vendors, but some of the vendors and definitely a large amount of the walking public were so disappointed that they drove all the way there, and it was a Pokemon show. Even the signage heading in the hotel, heading into the hotel conference room, just said Pokemon show. It said nothing about sports cards. And so again, I'm not trying to give any shine or dull the shine of the show and Michael Christopher, but I did make some content out of it. I do plan to do like a card show vlog just to kind of show that I actually ended up having a fun, good show, and I had some big pickups that I know Goats knows about that I haven't shared fully on Instagram yet or social media, but I ended up you do have to make the best out of any show. I'm a firm believer that you have the show experience that you want to have, and even if it's like a rough setup logistically, or there's only 3 vendors, if you're friendly with the 3 and you get to make some deals, which is what I ended up doing, I actually ended up having a good time. But I think that the deck was stacked against sports card collectors in having a good time, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's I mean, I'm sure that a lot of shows are experiencing this. There's just a crush of interest and in demand, both from I see it with our show in terms of vendors of trading card games, Pokemon wanting to set up, and I think we're just going to see a lot more trading card game specific shows popping up too, because I assume they're doing really well. There wouldn't be so many new shows kind of popping up these days if they weren't doing well. We've been really fortunate. We have a lot of demand for the table space from on both sides, on the sports side and on the trading card game side. The only line we've really drawn is that we have not allowed our show to become a comic show too, because there are people that want to come and sell comic books at the show. We've said no to that. I think that we will have, I would guess, so we'll have a little bit over 60 vendors for 100 tables on Saturday. I want to say 10, 11 of those are, I think, dedicated trading card game Pokemon vendors. But I think what you're also seeing though is a lot of our sports vendors are mixing it up. So I think they're seeing the trends too, and so they're getting more interest, and they'll probably see more Pokemon cards at with some of those vendors that have been setting up at the show for a long time and now are trying to do both. But I've really focused on having a mix of vintage and modern and non-sports and memorabilia. We have someone that really specializes in bobbleheads, which I think is very cool. I like bobbleheads myself. I don't think they're like a big investment, but a lot of this stuff is for display purposes too. So we're tight on space, so we don't tend to have people with a ton of like jerseys and football helmets and things, just because you need a lot of space for that kind of stuff. Although there's always some of that at the show as well. I obviously wasn't at Gaithersburg. I've met Michael a couple times. He did a show at Tyson's Corner that I went to a couple years ago, and I think he sets up at the CSA show too consistently. So I've noticed that the CSA show, I felt like there was not as much. I don't know. This might have just been me, but I didn't think that it had been taken over at all by Pokemon and trading card games. I feel like, but I think that's because a lot of the vendors at Chantilly have had their tables there forever, and they're sports people, and they're like not going anywhere. And honestly, some of those vendors at that show, they bring the same stuff every time, and it's it would be nice to like refresh some of the inventory at that show. I feel like so.
It would be. I think we all want to see new, fresh inventory because, again, if things are just not moving, either they're not priced right or they're just players that are not really as coveted or sets or cards. But I do like that you're holding as best as possible because I think so many people just see the money and they just want to follow the money. And again, I know for you it's harder for you to make any sort of comments because it's a fellow show promoter. I feel maybe more free to say things, but I'm also not trying to dunk on anyone, because again, I imagine how hard. I've never been a show promoter, but I imagine how hard it is to promote shows and do that. Having said that, I just cannot believe. I don't know. I understand how you can have a autograph guest be a football player, but then have four tables out of, again, I don't know how many there were there, but like out of 60 tables, be sports cards. So I was just really surprised about that. I did meet Platypus Party there. He was there with his better half. Dan Seeley is in the chat. He's all the way from Indianapolis. So thank you, Dan, for being here. Platypus Party does say, and this is true, Pokemon is hotter than it's ever been, but it's starting to be on the decline now. I didn't even read that second half when I read the first half. So that's interesting that maybe the bubble is already bursting. We're not even at
that's news to me.
Yeah. Hey, he's got a good pulse on the hobby.
Yeah, he would know. He's one of our vendors. So.
Yeah. We'll be there with the Pokemons, he says. Sneaky Squid says, I think Pokemon are cool, especially the Bonsley old card. I hope I didn't say anything I shouldn't have. I don't even know what that is. Goat says, I'm on board. I have 3 kids, young kids, and at every birthday party we go to the kids. I'm sorry. I have 3 young kids, and at every birthday party we go to, the kids just want Pokemon cards. I know that in my kids' schools, Pokemon has actually been banned because there was so much trading, kind of some thievery, some kind of, a lot of just kind of people getting a little bit too manic with it, distractions in the schoolhouse rock. Platypus already said Bonsley is a nice one. I don't know what card this is, sorry. 100%. Eye emojis. Dan Saylor says pump for national first time this year. Any advice or thoughts? We can definitely get into that in a moment. I think I'm caught up with the chat. Thank you guys for being so active in the chat. So I mean, we can turn to Dan's question. I think that it could be something in the back burner.
Let me go to something, Danny. Can I go to something that you said? There was a comment about the school. Oh, you said the schoolyard and how it had been banned. And something.
Yeah.
So this happened with my son as well when he was young, and there was problems with theft of Pokemon cards, and it just triggered my memory. Are you too young to remember Garbage Pail Kids? Were those around when you were in school or not?
I was again as a more of a 90s baby than an 80s baby or a kid. I mean, I was an 80s baby, I guess, but as a 90s kid, I just don't remember Garbage Pail Kids being like crazy hot. I mean, I think probably that's not the Tickle Me Elmo. There was some. Was it Teddy Ruxpin? I know there's some toys and some IP. For me, my childhood like cartoons were definitely like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe. I mean, what else is there? But Garbage Pail Kids was not in my bailiwick. I don't remember. Yeah.
Got it.
But they were being stolen in schools.
Yeah, no, it's like they had that problem when my son was very young with, he'd bring cards, other kids would bring cards and they would disappear and stuff and
cyclical,
cause all kinds of problems.
Right?
So yeah.
Isn't there, I mean, these things just come and go. Sports cards have come and gone, peaks and valleys, right? The height of the market. And then, I mean, you look at any economy, right? I mean, I'm thinking mainly about the US economy, but things don't just stay red hot forever. Things are not a bear market forever. Things just come in waves and you just kind of ride the waves. But Goats definitely brings up a core memory for me. Pogs and Slammers, I remember those. I don't think I have any of them left. I think they might have been all thrown away. Oh my gosh, I've heard of this question before. Danny, do you think 100 men could beat I think the actual question is silverback gorilla in a fight. I've heard that recently before. We can talk about that maybe after the national question from Dan. And then Glad the Ripper says TMNT. That is for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Ryan, never a fan of that. Was that too old?
No, I was not a big fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but you mentioned G.I. Joe. I was a fan of G.I. Joe. So.
Yeah, definitely. Operation Desert Storm time. Everyone was just all, patriotism and G.I. Joe and all of that. Yeah, definitely remember all that. So, so maybe if we, it's funny, this is supposed to be about sports cards, but so much Pokemon is being dominated. Platypus Party does say, the tariffs are definitely affecting the Pokemon market. I think it'll affect the whole economy very negatively. I mean, we can do a brief couple of minutes on that if you want, Ryan. What do you think before I share my thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a tax. So if the cards are coming in from abroad, outside the U.S., my understanding is this has hit supplies a lot. I mean, most of us don't spend a ton of money on supplies, but the supplies are being affected. Those are imported. And I haven't looked closely at its application to actual like wax boxes and cases and stuff like that. But I guess they apply there. I mean, they're global tariffs, so 10% on every country in the world, and then these reciprocal tariffs that are going to be a lot higher that are on pause for 90 days. So I agree that they're going to affect the hobby and affect the economy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think I can add much more to that. Totally agree with everything you're saying. It's just I can't believe we're not at May yet. It's interesting. On one hand, I can't believe it's only been 4 months in 2025, and then on the other, Platypus is saying Pokemon may already be on the decline, which I'm like so surprised about because I feel like the bubble just got hot. I feel like it was
He's not
just the other.
he's not talking his own book there. I mean, isn't that what he has Pokemon? So
Right. I mean,
I don't
it's
know.
just
He's talking down your own stuff there.
well, I mean, he's being refreshingly honest and not pumping up his own
Yeah.
stuff. So, wow, this is interesting. Goats from the ground floor, from the eyes and ears on the ground streets. I had a strange amount of eBay sales being shipped overseas this weekend. That's interesting. Maybe a small data point, maybe just anecdotal so far. I will say that I've recently had some eBay sales that have gone to like say ship my cards or like some of those boxes delivery services. So that could be from people buying overseas, or it could just be someone who has a vault. So that is interesting. Thank you for sharing that, Brian. Goats Cards, who not a sponsor for this episode, but he will be having a local card shop open up in Herndon, Virginia. Definitely in 2025. I don't know when, and I will be there to make content. But stay tuned for that, local DMV folks, because I think there's a fair amount of people in the chat who are in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So, um, oh my gosh, he's very insistent. Can we do this question before we get to the national, Ryan?
I don't really understand the question unless it's a
Okay.
serious question about 100 men fighting a gorilla.
Pseudo serious. Okay, I can't remember where I heard the actual question first, but I definitely remember somewhere in the recesses of my brain that someone that this was discussed. It's like like how young kid. I don't know how things become things, right? I mean, it's the youth will tell us what's hip and what's not. But I guess a recent thing that people have been asking each other is this question, this hypothetical of, do you think 100 men could beat I think they originally call it a silverback gorilla, because I guess that may make a difference, because I think there's not enough in here. We have to make some wild assumptions, right? Are these 100 men all of decent shape, or are they all slovenly, just slobs? Are they card collectors? Are these card collectors with like dainty hands and just the fat, bald, middle-aged man, or are these strapping young men? Is this gorilla of strong strength and not sickly and injured? Are these 100 men? Do they have time to coordinate an attack, or are they just wailing, flailing their arms? Are we talking about a jungle, or are we talking about an caged arena? Right? I mean, certainly a gorilla has a huge amount of strength that rivals many, many men. But if you just threw a bunch of people, almost like, you'd have to sacrifice the people in the front, like any, like, say, army or some sort of like military tactic, but the people in the front would die, and then the people in the back would be the ones to try you know to make the actual successful attack. So I don't know. I mean, there's so many variables, so many unknown so many unknown variables that I would love answered. If they want to put it in the chat, I will say, in general, just taking this question in face value, do I think 100 non-sickly, maybe mildly obese to in shape men who are under the age of 60 could they all band together and beat one gorilla? I think yes. But then if we go two, if we go three, if we go four gorillas, no, I don't think they can do it. But I think 100 men could beat one gorilla in a fight.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the fight scene in the second Matrix with Neo when he's attacked by like 1,000
Yeah,
versions of what's that
Mr.
character's?
Mr. Anderson.
Yeah,
Mr.
Mr.
Anderson.
Anderson is Neo, but I forget the name of.
Oh wait. Oh no. Yeah, you're right. Mr. Anderson's Neo.
Yeah, it's Hugo
Yeah,
Weaving.
yeah. The glasses. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said
Can't
Mr.
remember.
Anderson.
I couldn't remember. I was going to
Good.
Google
No,
while
good
you were
call.
talking. But,
No, that's right.
yeah, no. Assuming that these guys don't have any weapons or anything, then it's going to be pretty hard to take down the gorilla. I think you have to assume that it is a slice of the population. So some of them are in shape, some are not. Most are probably not in shape. not many UFC fighters in there. I mean, if you have 100 UFC fighters, you could probably take the gorilla with 10 UFC fighters. But
Yeah. Well, that says
yeah,
Mr.
so
Smith. Good call on that.
Mr. Smith, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So no, good answer on that. Yeah, it would have to. It can't all be of one demographic. It would have to be a cross section
Yeah.
of American society. Platypus Party says the gorilla will get tired. Glad asks really good questions. Is the sun in the gorilla's eyes? How are the acoustics in the cage? Really good. Agent Smith, absolutely. So, all right. Speaking of Dan Seeley, who says Agent Smith, we're going to go to his question now. We are at the 50-minute mark. We thought we might go about an hour. Again, this podcast episode is sponsored by the Mid-Atlantic Card Show. The next one is in 6 days from today's recording, depending on if you're watching this on replay, but it will be May 3rd at the Silver Spring Civic Center. I like to park in the parking garage across the street. That's it for this one. Since I am helping early, I may just park on the street, Ryan, because I know
No,
I'm gonna
don't do that, because I think it'll be 2-hour parking. So
okay. So I
park
will
in the
park in the
garage.
garage, but I will come early. I'll help at the door to begin with until the reinforcements arrive. Then this time I'm going to have a plan and I'm going to stick to it. So my plan for your show is helping out until I'm no longer needed at the front with admissions, because we definitely had a long line last time and people were excited to go. There's just a huge demand. There's such a huge demand. But I'm going to help at the front. I will do a time lapse of the front of the admission, so people will just see the people just stream in, and then I will definitely be there. So I have to figure out when you'll need me until, but if I have some time between that and Adrian Dantley from 11 to 1, I plan to be at the Adrian Dantley area. And then there's a little surprise from 1 to 3 that I won't mention right now, that Ryan and I have been talking about as a possibility. But yeah, like I feel like from 9 to 11, the time's just going to fly. The whole day is going to fly by. I think you would agree. With every card show you've done, it feels like it's done in a blink of an eye, right?
Yeah, it goes really fast. It's stressful leading up to it, but I've done enough of them now that I got a pretty good idea of what needs to be done. One thing different that we're doing is we're going to have an hour-long early admission period, so that may help with the line and things. So people, hopefully there won't be. So it'll be $10 during that first hour, but that's a good time to come to beat the crowd and get the best deals. And then open it up to general admission at 10. I talked to Adrian Dantley on Friday, and he's good to go. We're super excited. He'll be signing from 11 to 1. And if anyone really doesn't hates crowds, my recommendation is just come in the afternoon, because it's much busier those first couple hours than the last couple hours. And that's a good way if you want, a little bit more, a little bit smaller crowd, is just to come towards the end of the show. So we're going to be back to our 2-room format, the Great Hall and the atrium. The difference will be we also have the interior courtyard, which is a trading area. So it's really nice. It's totally enclosed. It's not accessible from outside, and that'll be for attendees to be picnic tables and benches and stuff for trading. Hopefully we have good weather. And then we're booked 5 shows after this. We book 18 months out. So we've got all set up going down in the future. And those future shows we've reserved the entire building. So we'll be back to the TCG Village in August, and we'll have some additional rooms that we're probably going to use as well, just because there's a lot of demand on the vendor side, and so the show's continuing to grow, and that's what to expect this Saturday.
Yeah, Jarrell, I bought cards from him recently locally. Can't wait to see you at the show again too, buddy. I hope you have some fire for me again. The Mid Atlantic Free Trade Zone is going to be hosted, or I will be helping. So that's where I'll be, in between Adrian Dantley and the helping out with the front door. I'll be going to the trade zone, making sure that everyone's having safe, fun trades, and we're gonna have a great time there. Hopefully, the weather holds for some, right now the pollen is out of control, but we just had some some rain spells, but it's absolute beautiful weather and temperature right now. And so I'm really excited. Platypus says you're not vending. Great question. There are times when I like to. Just stay tuned. I will say that I am a show ambassador. I am going to be walking around, talking to members of the public. I mean, I do have content that that I hope to bring out real soon about what a show ambassador does. But I'm just wherever Ryan wants me, right? I mean, he's like in a way my client. I mean, we've come to good friends too, but he's my client for the day, and wherever he needs me, I'll go. So that's so the answer is yes. I will not be vending, but Platypus, stay tuned for more information on that.
Danny, let me just say this about you and
Yes.
show ambassador, because I know you just went down to North Carolina and did a show in Wilmington too. What for other promoters out there, what Denny does, in my opinion, that is the most valuable is he brings your show to the rest of the world. So he does all this video. He does a lot of video documenting the show, documenting other vendors, documenting attendees, etc. And then afterwards pulls all that together, edits it, and helps kind of get it out there for those who might not know about the show or might not have had an opportunity to experience it, or maybe a distance away. And that's a great value, because I'm just there focused on, the actual box that we're in with the show itself, but then he's able to kind of broadcast that out afterwards to the world,
Thank
which we
you. I
appreciate.
mean, Ryan, I appreciate that you appreciate the value that I bring. I mean, I'm so grateful for all the opportunities I get from all sorts of folks, but you were early on willing to take a chance on me, and I never forget the people who believe in me early on, and also on the flip side, I unfortunately also do remember the people who just wouldn't give me the time of day, or couldn't care less, or would brush me off and kind of hi hat me. So I remember all of that stuff, and you're good in my book, and I love doing your shows. It really is my favorite show in the DMV, and that's to take nothing away from other shows. It's just that it has the most, I feel like, heart. Definitely has a lot of transactions and money flowing through, but it also just has it has character and heart, and that's what I really appreciate about it. And you've been really great to me too. So thank you very much for having me on again this time. And I'm just excited to see where the show goes. Guys, I do want to say, before we get to Dan's question, and we're going to be going a little bit over an hour, but we'll probably end on his question. I have been putting the pressure on Mr. Ryan to try to get more extended show hours, maybe an extra day. I mean, there's such a demand. You have such a beautiful venue. It's so much fun. There's so much heart and character in the show. I just would love to see if that's possible, but he has his schedule, and he's good at what he does, and people love the show. So I don't know if you want to say anything about that, but not to put you on the
No,
spot.
I really appreciate that, and growth is certainly an option. I mean, there's certainly ways for it to continue growing. It's just, I, like you, Denny, I mean, you have a family. There's so many demands on our time, and how much do we want to put into this? I don't get to really shop at the show or deal or spend a lot of time, really taking it all in at the show. So
Yeah.
the way I think we would grow is we would become, rather than adding more shows, I like doing 4 a year. It's just I like the space between them. But we could go to 2 days, and I was thinking if we did that, we'd actually give vendors the option. They wouldn't have to sell it both days, and we would actually have a lot of new dealers at the second day, so that it wouldn't be the same show. It would be 2 days in a row, but basically vendors wouldn't be obligated to purchase a table for both days. I'm saying all this, but it's not actually cooked yet.
Right.
We haven't done that, and we're already booked like 5 shows out. So,
Right.
but that's I think that's the way the growth might happen.
Platypus as a vendor for Pokemon. I don't know what you think, if you want to put it in the chat, but I'm excited at that being a potential opportunity. I would love to see. I mean, just the idea of almost like 2 shows in one, kind of like fresh, different, because you have a wait list. You have such a long wait list. You have people who want to try to do it. who can't get in. I mean, to give them a shot. And for some people who want to keep the same table for both days, they would pay some amount, and it just makes a lot of sense. Again, but I don't know the logistics, right? I don't know how much the venue would cost for that extra day, and security and all that stuff. There's a lot of moving parts, which I totally understand, but I am excited at the possibility of it. So thank you for breaking, in a way, breaking some of that news. And Platypus Party says that would be nice with some new vendors both days. That's how the Hagerstown Mall one is. I did not know about that one. And he also says, I shop at the shows too. And I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't want to assume that it's a he, because I know there's two of them.
Right.
It's a partnership. It's a couple. But I shop at the shows too, and it's always nice to see new tables and new vendors that I don't always see. Very true. So thank you so much for those comments. Should we move on from this it's like Pokemon is even dominating the Denny Cards YouTube page now, it looks like. I can't find Dan's question. It's somewhere here. Oh, here we go. Are you ready for this one? Yeah. We're at the 1 hour mark. Let's end on this, and then we'll just have you on again soon, Ryan. You're just so easy to talk to, and yeah, stay tuned, everyone, for future shows. Okay, I'll let you go first, and then I'll go for the second for this one. Dan asks, pumped for the National, first time this year, which it will be in Rosemont, a suburb of Chicago, Illinois, at the end of July. Not that the National is a sponsor, not that they have to sponsor anyone, because they are the big show. They are the tent pole, the flagship show. They are the largest. They are the one that's the most attended. It is the show. It is the show for the entire industry, the hobby, the industry, whatever you want to call it. Pumped for National, first time this year. Any advice or thoughts, Ryan?
Well, congratulations. That's great that you're going to National. Anyone that really loves the hobby and loves sports cards and has the means, I strongly recommend going when you can. It's definitely worth making a vacation out of and making a trip and spending the expense. I don't know many people that have been to the National that have regretted it. It's not like any other show. It's obviously massive, but also the quality of the stuff there is just off the charts. You'll see. I mean, I like oddball items a lot. I like stuff that I don't see anywhere else. I don't want to go look at Prism cards. I mean, I want to go see stuff that's just crazy stuff that you just never see. And that you'll see that kind of stuff at National. There is a lot of vintage, although now there's everything. I wouldn't say just vintage. I don't think they have, I guess, I don't think they have Pokemon at all. I could be wrong. There could be a little bit, but I think it's virtually 95% sports, and they will have vintage non-sports stuff there for sure. I bought a lot of old non-Beatles cards and music cards and
Star Wars
like
too, right?
So yeah, that stuff you see. I mean, you see that at sports card shows as well. But give yourself enough time. Just don't. Just plan on walking or just soak it in. It's like a museum of cards. I didn't go to Fanatics Fest. I think it's like the opposite of Fanatics Fest. It's not really aimed at sports experiences or anything like that. There are a ton of signers if autographs are your thing, but really it's just tables and tables and tables of cards. And then all the corporate presence there. So all the companies that all the names in the hobby are all set up there. And a lot of giveaways. A lot of people wait in line hours for giveaways, which I think is a waste of time at National. That's not how I want to spend my time. But some people really get into that stuff as well. And then there's all the trade nights. Now trade nights have become a big part of the National. So it like continues on into the morning at various different places, and some of them are official. I don't know how they're doing it in Chicago, but in Cleveland they did. Last thing I'll say here is I'm very proud of the fact my first National was in Baltimore back in 2009, I believe it was. So I've been going to, I haven't gone to all of them since 2009, but I've probably been to probably about 7 or 8 of them in that period. So It's gotten a lot bigger than it was. Chicago, this will really be the last thing I say. Chicago is a
Right.
fantastic venue. The venue is very friendly for attendees, very easy to get around, and easy to get in and out of that area as well. So
Yeah.
it's all good.
Ryan, did you go to the one in Atlantic City?
I did, yeah.
Okay. If you want a road trip to Fanatics Fest, I don't have my plan set for Fanatics Fest. I don't have my flights or train tickets for Fanatics Fest or the National. I do plan to go to both, but I also I'm like I don't know. I may have to choose one of the other two. I'm contemplating. I'm really trying to figure things out, especially with family schedule. The whole reasons why this hobby hangout has been happening every Sunday night. But great question, and not that it was asked, but Fanatics Fest really is like the cards are not that it's a second thought, but it's even from a square footage standpoint, when you see the map, it is like in this corner, and then you got these huge activations, the 40-yard dash, the basketball area, the soccer area, the baseball area, and it's like these huge booths, and it's really a lot of it's like corporate, and it's a lot of it's just kind of like for it's like a comic con for sports fans, not for sports cards fans. And then you have the hobby hall, which had sports cards, which I was probably there for like 70% of the time, but it's hard to like just stay there when there's so much other fun things to do. And it's very kid friendly because there's so many interactive things for kids to do. That said, the National, it really is sports cards, and of course you got the memorabilia, you got the helmets and jerseys, and you got the sealed wax, you got the uncut sheets like back here. But it really is it is like in some ways it's like a museum. You will, Dan, and I'll definitely talk to you more offline, but I appreciate you asking me this here so I can just share this with everyone. Is you will see things at the National you could never see anywhere else, including Fanatics Fest. People bring out their best cards. People will bring out private collections that don't see the light of day, that are vaulted up. This is a time that people want to show off and like show their, be proud of their collections. There will be a lot of corporate, activation, corporate booths, giveaways. The Panini line for the redemption line for the white boxes will be huge. I'm sure Topps will have their own similar thing. Fanatics, I'm sure, will go all out. There's just going to be, and especially if you're a content creator or a breaker or if you're in the industry part of the hobby, the money making, the transactional side, I don't know if it's a great place to make deals, except for maybe like trade nights, because those booths are so expensive and it does cost money to get there, that the dealers may be high on some things, but you will also see some really rare things. It's not a regular show where it's all downtown and kabooms. It's like you'll see some really unique stuff, and I say that without even knowing the vintage side of the hobby. I didn't go last year. I didn't go to 2024 in Cleveland, but I went to 2023 in Rosemont, and there's like 6 hotels all around the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center, and you got the classic Gibsons across the street where a lot of people go to eat lunch or dinner. Um, I did my first national was kind of similar to Ryan, 2012, Baltimore. Back when they did have Baltimore in the rotation, like Ryan said, he won in 2009. I won in 2012. Very different, not as well attended, I will say. But it was cool because it was only an hour away from DC. But you're gonna see you are really going to see some rare, unique, cool stuff. And I'm so excited for you because you get to see it for your first time. And, I can never get that back. Ryan can never get that back. We enjoyed it and we will enjoy it. It's just, again, if I do go. But having said that, it's just, it can be overwhelming. It can be all encompassing. It can be so much fun that your brain you're tired. You start making more runs at ATM. Like it's almost like being in a casino for like a week, right? It's like it's just it's intense. It can be a lot of fun though. I remember definitely having some moments where I just felt way too overwhelmed, but it is a great time. So I'm really excited for you, Dan, for having your first time there. So I think that's it. Dan says, don't even think about skipping national. We're gonna talk offline, Dan. But I hope that answers your question. That's what to expect. Expect the unexpected. Expect everything. I'll definitely make some more content leading up to the national, whether I make it or not. But it really is the event of the entire year that our whole industry centers around, right, Ryan?
Oh yeah, it's everyone that is, like you said, Denny, in the industry or doing content, or faces that you recognize that are um, really into it will be there. And but don't, like you said, don't expect great deals. I mean, the prices are
Yeah.
not that great there.
Oh yeah.
Although there's lots, there are people with dollar boxes and stuff like
There
that.
are. There are.
And but yeah, no, just just go with a budget. I would also recommend, because
It's so hard.
it'll go
You
quickly. So
Oh, you're gonna see so many cards you want, Dan. It's gonna be
yeah.
insane because he and I have very similar collecting lanes. Like he loves his '90s stuff, and I just it is overwhelming. You wonder whether you should walk away from the table because that card will still be there. It could be because it may be overpriced and might they might have to wait until they get desperate and have to sell to make their table fees and the weekend worth it. But you might also not see that card again. It really depends on how rare that card is. But I picked up some really cool stuff back then 2 years ago. And that said, even if you don't go this year, I know you are, but I'm trying to convince myself, even if I don't go this year, there is one every single year. I did miss Cleveland last year. I was sad to miss it. Just didn't work out. Lots of factors I won't go into right now at all. But I didn't want to miss it, but I did miss it. But things are okay. So just he goes budget. Yeah, I mean it's pretty tough. It is really tough. And of course,
Danny, I think
yeah.
the other problem with passing on a card is you may not find that table again. That was my problem. I would leave
Oh
a table, and
gosh.
I'd then look for that table for the half a day and never find it again. So
So true. So true. It is so big. I mean, and we're not even talking about the Breakers Arena area or the whole like the carnival area. Like you're just gonna see there's yeah, you're gonna have a great time, Dan. I know you are. Whether I'm with right there next to you or not, you're gonna have a great, fantastic time, especially with your indie card exchange buddies and all that. So, Platypus says, "When will you start selling some Pokemon?" If he's asking me, I have some. It's just I actually sold a Black Label Morpeko and Wilmington Card Show, or I sold slash maybe I shouldn't say it because it's supposed to be a gift for someone, but I will say that I will explain it more later. I'll explain it in person, Platypus. I just won't do it on the podcast right now because it's supposed to be a surprise for someone. But Platypus Party says a little bit of Pokemon, not much. And so let's end. Ryan, what should we say? So thank you to everyone for being in chat. You guys were excellent as always. One last comment from Goats, and then I'm going to close it. He says, if you find a card you like, take a picture of the booth, or you will never find that booth again. It really helps if these booths are at the end, if they're like capped at the end of an aisle or underneath some sort of like close to a landmark, right? Oh, there's the Tops booth or the Cards HQ booth. It's right next to there. But yeah, you can really get lost in the shuffle. And see y'all at the show. Thanks for streaming. Thank you, Platypus. Can't wait to see both of you at the Silver Spring Show. Again, today's sponsor for the podcast episode, the YouTube live stream. Ryan, any final words before we close it?
thank you, Platypus. Thank you, Goats, for all the comments. Definitely makes the live streaming. I don't know about you're the host, Denny. You tell me, but I think it makes it easier and more engaging to get some great comments. So, look, I didn't mention giveaways. We're gonna have some fantastic giveaways. Yes. We'll just keep those a surprise for now. But one of the most fun I have with the shows is putting together the lineup of stuff to give away. And the way we do it is it's all we do drawings, and whoever wins the drawing can come pick out among the items that we've chosen, and there's some great items there. So that's something we'll have a lot of fun with. But anyway, thank you for doing this, Denny. As always, a lot of fun. Look forward to seeing people on Saturday, and don't hesitate to reach out. I'm at Mid-Atlantic Card Show. on Instagram. So if we're not connected, connect with the show there. Would appreciate it.
Atlantic Card Show on IG. Okay, I'll just put that down here. For those watching, give him a follow. Message him. He's accessible. He's wonderful. He's great to chat with, and that's why I'm so glad to be a part of the team that you have, because it does take a village. I mean, you have a great team around you. It happens to be your wonderful family, and as you grow, I know you'll have to have some more hands on deck, and I'm just glad to be a part. So thank you again to Ryan. Thank you to all of you watching and listening, and if you're watching on replay, comment below. Thank you so much. Subscribe to and check out our other shows that, Ryan and I had a great discussion about taxes that he just spearheaded, and I just interjected here and there. So we just I just continue to be amazed by the people that I meet in this hobby. You guys are just so wonderful. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Ryan, and see you Saturday.
See you Saturday. Thanks.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.